What was that? What was that E3 like thing called that just happened? It was like,
That just dropped with like a ton of
yeah,
different trailers that came
oh,
out.
like Summerfest or something. I
Who
can't.
the fuck knows? All
It
of a
came out of
sudden,
nowhere.
yeah, all of a sudden I just see little games and stuff. All these different stuff being announced. Somebody saying like new Half Life thing being
Yeah, yeah,
dumped, and
yeah.
I'm like,
Okay,
wait, what's going on here?
so it's
How
called
uninformed
Summer.
am I really? Because I'm pretty goddamn uninformed.
Yeah, yeah. So it's called Summer Game Fest, and then also Steam Fest is doing yet another Steam Fest demo thing. So
The Steam
like,
Fests are great. Yeah, as in like working with the Giant Fox group, like that's our like major calls every time. Like that's our big places to have
yeah,
builds because it's almost like 4 or 5 times a year, and the featuring is pretty great if you can get it. Biggest thing is like I don't know, like I mean store pages are weird these days. I'm seeing more and more store pages that are like everybody's streaming constantly to their store page.
yeah,
So if you have something, it's like it's better to have recorded like hours of gameplay or something, and then literally just have like a loop that just makes sure that like somebody is always playing. So it's always on that Steam page. It's always
yeah.
on the Steam ID thing or at the top of the page. It seems to have like decent engagement or at least decent reasoning, especially during the fests. Like, do you want to hear a fucking stupid story?
Yeah,
All
totally.
right, here's how I messed up Steam Game Fest, our first one for Giant Fox. All right,
Oh, interesting.
so we had 4 featured streaming spots where we were allowed 4 streams, and we would be featured on the main page window on the Steam, on the home page, right,
Was
or
this
wherever
across
it was.
several days?
Yes, this was across several
Okay.
several days, but I did a stream on our best day in terms of viewership. We had like 300 or so people watching, and I was making a level. But I had not, as with most things, I hadn't planned out a level. Like, the goal was make a level in the game. And my hope was is that, hey, I'll do it, and then maybe there'll be some viewers, and maybe they'll give me some suggestions, and we'll talk through it, and we'll walk through it. No. So I probably spent like the first 45 to an hour of an hour long stream just like getting the basic bones of the level done.
Oh no.
Whereas and Jamie was so pissed because he was like we had like so many viewers, and I'm over here noodling with prefabs and whiteboxing shit in Unity instead of just being like, here's the game, here's the
Yeah.
art, here's everything we're doing,
Oh,
and
that's fun.
it and it brought us into a great policy thing between the lot of us where it's like, hey, if we ever do that again, we do that when our viewership is basically like 3 people. If
Yeah,
at
yeah.
any point our viewership is like 10, play the goddamn game. Like, call
Yeah, yeah,
people, get
yeah.
them in, stop what you're doing, just don't do that stream anymore. Just go play the game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because, like, I was going through the design philosophy, and I think I was actually trying to make portals work.
Okay.
Originally, that
Yeah.
was my first idea. It was like, I want portals. Portals should be cool. Portal should definitely work. And then I spent, yeah, like up to probably 20 minutes like writing the code and just being like, yeah, this doesn't work, and I don't want to sit here and try to figure it out, and I thought this was gonna be easy, and it's not, and
Man,
eyeball.
that's
You're
funny.
like, how many eyeballs are on me? I don't even know. Are people watching me? And I'm stressed. I just didn't. Yeah, so don't do that. Nobody
Yep,
cares
yep.
about real proper game dev streams,
Right, right.
unless you're doing it or aspiring. And even if you're doing it, I don't think that there's probably some audience, but it's not a big one of people who
Right.
make games but watch game dev streams on the regular or something like that too. So yeah, don't show your game when you have the eyeballs. Don't do what I did.
Yep.
Calvin, we're here today. We wanted to talk about the most touchy topic of all time so far. The nerd rage is great with this one. I smell the stink from the back row. Those sweaty gamer nerds from PC have come down off of their gilded thrones. Their piss bottles are beside them, and they are throwing them directly at Blizzard's fucking door right now. What do you think, dude? Justifiado? Not justifiado? Are they? Is this real rage? How are you feeling about Diablo Immortal so far?
All
I'll
right.
start off. Okay, preface.
But
I have two characters. My character is level 13. I don't even think I'm really out of the major tutorial just yet. And that'll tell you how much of a mobile gamer I am these days. Which means, like, a decent amount, because most players will just jump in, probably kill a few mobs, and then jump back out. Maybe complete, like, one quest. Or maybe that's overthinking that myself.
so yeah, a little bit of background. Diablo is definitely one of my like most favorite franchises. I've loved Diablo since Diablo 1. It was very influential to me. But fast forward to now, and we got Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a level 30-ish character. It's not terribly far in. That's really like one or two sessions.
Is it
Or
really? One
it
or
really,
two
yeah,
sessions is level 30?
yeah. I
What?
think
What
one
am I
session got
doing?
me there. So
Serious? How long was a session?
that one was, I think it was just a couple hours actually. I
One.
could be
See,
wrong. Yeah,
here we go. All right,
I
one
could be wrong.
session was a couple of hours.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're already not
Um,
aligned.
yeah, I don't remember spending a lot of time into that. So
Were you playing
yeah,
on PC or are you playing on your phone?
that just on my phone right now.
Are you using a controller or are you
Nope,
just
just the
straight to the
iPhone
phone?
X. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Honestly, I think that you won't even be able to see it on this, but like my phone screen
Oh,
didn't work at all. My phone screen is so broken that I think it
okay.
probably puts me off from even playing these things, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
the game is so detailed, and you have like one of the beauties of Diablo in general is when you put on a piece of armor, it shows up. But like the
hmm
screen size is so small, it has definitely has less of an impact in a draw.
yeah, then there's less particles. They can't really do that much with shaders because it's on mobile. I actually don't know the base, like what they actually built it in. Like I'm guessing that's built in Unity and all the networking stuff is all layered on top, but I have no idea what engine this actually is, to be honest. I haven't seen
Yeah.
something that's like very specific said like this is this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It kind of looks like Diablo 3, but I know they've made changes from that, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't doubt
oh,
that
I was just
all
gonna
half
say
of the art assets. Go on.
okay, my impression of the game is just fine. In fact, they actually upgraded some. Okay, actually, we don't really need to talk about the gameplay too much because I think almost every review is like, "Hey, the game's good," but everything else makes me want to
Yeah,
riot against this company.
I
So
agree
that's
with
more
you.
important.
The game seems good. It genuinely seems like people have put a really solid amount of time into quest design, content, early onboarding. The art is just these are just D3 assets, like for the most part. Like I don't know how much reuse that there is out of this, but a lot. How much
Right.
new things really got made, I'm not sure. Impact of armor, like I don't even think the end game armors look that great personally, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, game
Yep.
seems decent. How many character abilities do you have right now? Or and also, what character are you playing?
I'm playing mage, and I
Nice.
so that is one difference is that there are less skills, so it's a bit more streamlined, and you can also only use what five, I think five skills at a time, just because you can only fit so much on the UI. But otherwise, I mean, you just roll in and you just spam buttons and kill things. I mean, it's all classic. Well, not classic, but Diablo 2 style. Spam the screen.
Have you found like that there is any sort of sense in your rotation or anything, or like when you should cool down versus when you should not? Because I haven't. It's just been hit the button over and over and over again and thing until the thing dies, which yeah is the classic kind of, but I'm a big D3 player myself. Like I never played Diablo 2, I got Resurrection, but or Rebirth. Is that what it's called? Rebirth or Resurrection?
Maybe resurrected.
Anyway, uh, but but I don't feel like that. There's any like I can't feel being smart right now, and the only thing I can say is being efficient with my time. But the game model itself fights this massively, and this is
Yeah.
obviously the misstep that I think most people have seen. If you haven't seen and you're on that other side of the pillar that says it's okay, guys, it's just a mobile game. I'm you most of the time. This time I am like, you done fucking goofed. Somebody really did goof up. What is it? Is it a lack of knowledge within the space? Is it being too greedy? Is it because this is actually just a NetEase game? A Chinese or Korean company, and I can't remember off the top of my head, that has put out multiple Eastern style MMOs that have all of these different types of heavy mechanics. They're favored over there. Progression gates are, that are pay through, like blatant pay through walls, are a big point of sync for, hardcore gamers over there. And I wouldn't doubt that the revenue numbers are probably okay, right?
Yeah,
Like,
last I checked, I think they already made around 7, 8 million. And for some context, like I believe Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes makes around 12 million a month. So it seems like they're kind of around that area of Star
that's,
Wars Galaxy of
yeah.
Heroes.
Look, 12 a month is nothing to
Yeah.
sneeze at. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Even if you're making a mil a month, that's a ridiculous amount of money to be driving home into your back coffers.
Yeah.
Do you think that they see this as a success? That they see that
Ooh,
as a success? I wanted
damn.
because the measurement of success within mobile games has always just been the revenue number. It's very frustrating that that's the case, but in mobile game development, monetization, your LTV is king. Um, People love talking about how much money that their games make a year per month or whatever, top grossing, where they are in those charts, and for like when all the way back from when Apple even had in the app top free, top grossing, top blah, and it's top 100 games. Like that's where you aimed, right? Like I'm aiming for top 100 grossing. That's what I want to be in because that's somehow the list category of all the top games, right? So is this them just having a lack of knowledge internally of the way the industry is moving, their idea of what mobile game monetization really is, and like uh, you know, and how much that they can pull on those levers and not get this kind of backlash? And is this success for them? Do you think? Do they see it that way?
Yeah, definitely a great question. I will definitely first say, yeah, they probably see it as a success. There are just so many layers above Blizzard now that it's really hard to not say, oh well, you got like 10 managers above you that are like saying, hey, this is the main number that we're going for. So with that said though, like I believe they did try some techniques, and to be honest, it confused me a little as to the results of them because
Mm.
so the main negative thing is you want to avoid the sentiment of pay to win. So some things, so in some ways, it's definitely true. You can't just like literally buy power in and then 2 seconds later become maxed out. You do have to buy access to dungeons and then run those dungeons. So
So
they
you
put
still have
that
to play
layer.
the game, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
could buy
yeah,
gems, but you can't buy the gear, right?
yeah. And this is actually similar monetization to other actually more quote more fair mobile games. For example, AFK Arena is a game where
Just
you're
buy the
you
characters, right? Raw,
yeah
gotcha.
well it's not just that, but like if you bought and then got a ton of characters, it's the same deal. You still have to play the game. You still have to play. You still have to idle. You still have to do everything and engage with the game, and that was kind of praised actually compared to games where you do directly buy power anyways. So it's kind of strange because Diablo. sort of went down that same path, but they got all the negative backlash for it. Like they got no benefit
Hmm.
for doing such a thing. So I don't know. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is they definitely care about the money. They also tried some techniques to get some heat off of them, but it didn't work at all.
Okay. Well, do you know what
So
those were?
yeah, I
They
think the
do
riffs
some
is one of them.
rebalancing very quickly.
Yeah. I can't remember them off the top of my head other than the rifts where you have to run the dungeons to get power. So there's this layer in between directly buying power. But something like that just still got so much flack. In fact, they probably got even more flack for doing that. It's so weird. So,
Yeah.
like, go ahead.
No, it's good. It's good in that sense, right? Because you're totally right, right? Technically, you can buy power, but it's power adjacent, right? It's not necessarily something that you can use right away, which is, or you could use it right away, but would you use it right away into like a blue slot? I don't know if you get gems back if you disenchant items right now or salvage items, right? I think you used to get those things back if you break them out. So I
I
don't have
think
to
you do.
gem or
Yeah.
resocket or do any of those types of things. But overall, the problem that I see is what have they learned from this real world trading fiasco of the old, right? As soon as you put in some way for the player to either directly gain power, you make the player feel like you are going to obfuscate the drops and ruin their core experience, which would you call Diablo these days just like the grind game,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
right? Like I don't really care what's in front of me. I want to kill this thing as fast as possible, get loot, move on. But if I feel like you are messing with the drop table consistently, I'm not feeling like I'm going to get paid out or rewarded at any minute for my time. And if at any time then I feel like the battle pass or something else is making me pay into these things that then don't reward that time, right? Like now I feel like I'm on the back foot, then why would I continue to play this game, right? Like especially as a free to play player. If you feel but there's a flip side to this, and this is like the other double-edged sword that you'll see in a lot of YouTube videos or something like that. It's like, hey, I'm putting out this content for free, and it is what it is. So if you're a free player, and Blizzard has been working on this for 4.5 years or whatever, has done a big partnership with another company, should they not retain some amount of money out of that? You know what I mean? Like, should their expected ROI for a free game include a great experience, the best experience for the free to play player? And is the rage there justified, or is this really just players that are not used to they're not playing Diablo Immortal like a mobile game, right? They're coming in and playing for 4 to 6 hours and trying to burn through the hard gates and the soft gates as quickly as possible. Like all of these things of, hey, you only get 5 drops out of like rare monsters a day and stuff like that. Like those are all soft engagement caps. Like it's supposed to grind your progress. But that sucks in a grinding game when that's the entire point and premise of the thing. So if you're going to be doing these things and then taking away that ability, like I'm going to be getting worse over time and not better, well then how does that make sense? Because my mastery does this, right? Like as my character improves, as I get more understanding of the game and better mechanics, better control of my character, my mastery does this. But the loot does the opposite, or plateaus and falls out. And just like in the real world trading stuff, they've increased drop rates or decreased drop rates to such abysmal levels for certain players, or all players or whatever, because players can grind the content too quickly because they just want to, right? That's the game. They just want to play, there's not enough content now. Is the content ceilings I feel like is like quite small. Do you know what max cap
Probably.
is?
I don't actually.
But there's only like it's
Um,
like 20 levels to get all of your abilities or something like that.
yeah, I think it takes, if I remember right, like 15 to 20 hours to max out on levels, and then you have your end game stuff. So I do think they have a bunch of end game stuff to funnel players into.
Yeah. So if I feel like that, you know, what I mean, the game is manipulating my drop rates, and that my time then doesn't actually matter, my grind doesn't matter. It's really the game that's really beholden to me, and it is the it's the god of random, but it doesn't feel like it's that like it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it's that random. It feels like I'm being held back by the game more so than anything else. What is the incentive to play? But also then does that just should that create a negative spend? Right? Like in your mind, players who do players even understand that the drop rates are manipulated in any way, or do you think that like they don't that most players just don't care?
Yeah. So yeah, the drop table manipulation, that was actually kind of recent. Like that wasn't obvious in the beginning. So we can say we can start with that actually, because that wasn't known until maybe I think a week in, that people were getting decreasing drops over time, but it
Mm-hmm.
was still getting the negative press. So you can actually just say, well, that didn't matter even, because people were already complaining about that. But kind of, I'll say this about the vocal. Well, not. I don't know if I should call them vocal minority or vocal majority, but definitely the vocal people online. When
The
I read the,
E-Rage people, I'll
yeah,
fucking say it. All you
the
guys, the angry gamers, god damn, you're not wrong, but you're fucking assholes about it. Like, shut the fuck up sometimes. Like, it's not, is it a moral crusade? Right? Because I'm going to cut across all of these points because I'm going back over this.
go for it.
I hear these people like Asmongold, that guy did the immoral side of Diablo Immortal, whatever, right? That video. They're not wrong. I don't disagree that a lot of these tactics are crazy, and it is just a grind fest to try and recoup the losses of Blizzard, like lesser subscriptions, right? That's how I feel like this is like they've put something on the shelf to go and say, hey, we need something to make money so that we can actually like continue to expand or continue to do other things. Otherwise, we might go away, which is a different scenario altogether. But this moral argument that all of these mechanics need to go away, free to play microtransactions need to go away, and everything that's free to play microtransactions is the worst thing in the world, I think is a completely facetious argument. And I'm hearing this more and more, like when they've come down from their crowds to come play this game, that they're playing it extremely different than most mobile players, and they're as soon as they see it now, they've never looked at it's like they've never looked at another mobile game ever in their entire life, so they're just picking up on trends from like fucking from the start of the app store. So it's like, what should these things stop? Should this game have been made and been allowed? Should it have been banned like it is in the Netherlands and Denmark?
So actually, what you said about them descending from the clouds of crowds and playing the game. So this is what I want to say about a lot of the people that are kind of loud. I don't think a lot of them actually played the game,
Oh
which
yeah.
is which is okay in theory. Is okay.
Oh, talking about something I haven't even freely experienced.
Right. No, no, it is okay. You can't judge something if you haven't played it, but you have to at least critically think about it. Um, because when I read these posts, and I read all the, especially the big ones that pop up on Reddit, they well, I'll point out two of them, two things that I saw. One was calling out the game for being a frustrating microtransaction piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
However, in that same post, he admits that he hasn't even hit a progression wall because he's only hit level 30. So I think that's it's just strange to use the term frustrating. He probably means it in a different way, but to me, if you haven't hit a progression wall, because by the way, my brother does play this game actively.
Hmm.
For someone who's busy like him, he finds the much shorter dungeons to be definitely a boon for him. He can squeeze. I played the game with him over his lunch break, which is
Nice.
impossible with Diablo for the most part. So I can't take a lot of these posts seriously when they make very obvious incorrect calls. And I'll point out another post. Another post was um so apparent one of the IAPs, I don't know which one, is limited to buying it only once a month,
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah.
is a good way to balance the payers versus the free to players. However, even in that scenario, people were saying, "Oh, this is just another method for Blizzard to gate our progress." So again, when I'm seeing posts about this, I know these are very emotional posts, and they're just looking for whatever scraps they can. But man, you are being completely hypocritical there. This you want if you're gonna complain about pay to win, you should be cheering on purchase caps. Absolutely, that this is just for you to be balanced. So
Yeah, I can get
um,
behind that. Unless, you know, I mean, the whole thing is like, if I'm seeing this thing and it is me being able to buy something that gives me direct, like, power off of the shelf, then how much are you manipulating my role so that
sure.
you're forcing me to buy that, especially if it is only once a month? Then all of a sudden, then you're telling me, well, it's one big purchase and it's only once a month and it's $25 and yeah, hey, come over here. It'll be so much
Yeah,
more fun if you get this, right?
no,
Like,
exactly. If it was worded that way, I would have understood the argument more. But it was not worded that way at all, and so I can only interpret it from what I see.
no, I do like that though, because some of this does feel like perceived rage, where I'm seeing a lot more. Well, here's actually a whole other side thing. It's nice to read the Diablo Immortal Reddit page right now. If you're an economy person, go over there right now because there's been tons of Diablo games. People have spreadsheets on spreadsheets for how to gear their characters, what are all the breakdowns of the combat stats, how to like best be efficient, and it's interesting to see how they're putting together things here too. So like there's this one here that's like the definitive guide uh, to CR to the combat rating. Goes into depth about like how your power is here because a lot of this feels obfuscated. In other games, power is just really a number, and we go by the level of the character, right? And we don't really necessarily care about all of the base raw stats. That gets you way more into like beyond mid-core into the hardcore side of things nowadays, and most games don't want to do that on mobile. So, is part of the compounding problem possibly like obfuscation of stats, power, and how players are doing it, or like to me, I just think that like as soon as you go and put monetization in a game around gaining power, which is every mobile game, you're basically saying to the player that I'm going to do some blockers for you to be able to progress, especially if you don't spend. And I'm going to make your life a little bit worse. As soon as you do spend, we'll make it a little bit better, but we're only going to make it better for a little bit. My personal opinion now has been kind of static here is should this game have been not free to play? Should it have just been a subscription? Or should there have been some different way the free to play was done so that we are in the tables are not dropped. Players can play this game like a Diablo game. They can sit there, grind for 12 hours, pee in bottles. It's all good. You can do that. And it'll matter. It'll make a difference, right? But to me, it's like, yeah, if it was that way, would they have gotten one? Their daily actives are probably pretty good right now. They've done a great launch campaign. The servers seem to have been stable. Everything seemed to have worked very well. I had some issues with my Blizzard account because my Battle.net account is in Ireland, and I'm in America, so I wasn't actually allowed to create an account on my BattleNet account at all, which was a pain in the ass. But I've been dealing with that for forever. Um, but I do wonder, like, how do you how do you get back to enjoying this game? Like, how you know what I mean? Is this just the again, like, I'll go back to it, but like, is this rage justified? Is it just coming down on high, and we're seeing a lot of regurgitation from not a lot of experience within mobile, within the space, within the game itself? Um, where does this go now in the next while?
Um, so actually, we can have a partial answer right now and a bit later because Diablo 4. Have you seen any of the news that recently dropped about that?
I saw a little bit. I watched a video of a bear jumping off of a horse and then diving into a bunch of other things, and to be honest, kind of looked like the same game.
So they recently dropped just yesterday their monetization plan for D4.
Ooh,
And
did they seriously? Oh my
they did.
god.
Let's see. So they said, and they can change it from now till then, which is they said they're gonna do cosmetics only, and also have an in-game store, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't think they said. Um, I think they're gonna do the same seasonal route as D3 did, and then maybe sell you some stuff to help you along with that season. But either way, I believe the backlash is just as mixed. Probably not as violent as they are with Diablo Immortal, but it hasn't been getting like, oh god, this is I can't wait for this game sort of reviews. So we're kind of seeing a bit of a comparison to what you said. Is like, would this have worked as a paid game and whatnot? But first off, for a paid game, I think Diablo Immortal would have failed because I don't know of any really successful paid games that aren't already like, already on Steam and then they just port it to mobile and stuff. It doesn't really work.
Well, I'm not one time purchase up front, but like, hey, give me just one base subscription, right? It's old school RuneScape. It's Jagex. It's $4.99. I get access to everything. The game is here. Otherwise, I have my free to play track and I have my real game track. My free to play track gives me some amount of levels. Maybe I get to feel out my character's power. I get to play with that character for a little bit. It gets capped at level 10 or something like that. I can't really progress from there. Maybe I have a very small, limited one dungeon or something I can deal with, and I sit in that loop. And after that, $2.99, $1.99 a month, I can sit in. None of my drop rates are bound. I'm not limited by any of these other things, but it's Jagex does it per character as well. You know, means per account, but one account is one character, and every time that they do that, it's a bond, right? Or it's a, it's a, um, it's a actual subscription that you would pay for with your credit card properly. But players can buy those bonds with in-game currency, and it really helps the world economy, right? Like it's 4.5 million GP to go and get a bond. A bond is 14 days of game time. Same thing, Blizzard did it in World of Warcraft. They have the WoW token, right? Game token. You can buy it. You get a physical item or a digital item. It goes into your inventory. You can put it up on the auction house, or you can redeem it yourself. Get a bunch of gold. It helps gold purchasing, which was a big problem in Diablo 3 as well. It's just like players just buying gold from other
Yep.
players, and they had to stop that, right? Like, you couldn't, at the start of the game when it first came out, you could drop the gold on the ground, and now they stopped all of that later on. But you could pass items still between players. But anyway, I do wonder if leaning more into what they know the perception's going to be is better, but it's going to be worse probably for their, like, I'm trying to think of tail end monetization. Like, how long is this going to go, right? Like, are they really going to keep up with the live op cadence that they're going to need to be able to really support this game going forward? and really keep players engaged and driving. Because right now it feels like Candy Crush Moms, where it's like, hey, you guys burned through 24 hours of content in 36 hours. It's like, you know, like these mobile games tend to try to be, months to years, right, of your time, and this definitely feels like a big shift within my industry, within this side of things, for all of that. And I do wonder if just a different approach would have helped their long tail bottom end spend and perception, which would have gotten more players in and more players willing to spend to keep playing. Um, that's my only thing right now. Is I'm that's what I'm trying to figure out. If
I
that would.
agree. That is the golden question. Is the question should be, how should the monetization has changed? Any game dev should ponder this one. It's probably definitely relevant to them, uh, because there's a huge perception part tied to it, exactly like you said. And I, you asked the question, was it doomed from the start? I don't want to say that.
It depends on your version of success, and this is why I say that I don't think that Blizzard's success criteria at all was like, did people actually enjoy the game? I think weirdly that's like third or like
Yeah,
fourth. Do people enjoy the game? And that's a weird thing to say. It's like that's why I think that it really speaks to the financial state of the company, right? Like of where they are, who they're really beholden to. This is a public company. They've not had that many hits now in the last while. Overwatch 2 has already kind of looked like a damn joke. Diablo 4 is in development, but nobody knows what that's going to look like. And after this release now, we're just like, I'm scared. We've got dragons coming out for the next World of Warcraft expansion. That's my expansion. Me and my dragons making Dragonvale. They friggin' stole my mobile game and stuck it in their goddamn World of Warcraft game. But you mean what else does Blizzard have right now other than obviously like Activision kind of continuing to hold this company, fire to the flames, right? Like,
there's another potential, another nail in the coffin, which is Frost. I think they're called Frost Giant Studios. That's the one that are a bunch of ex Blizzard devs that are making the free to play RTS. Um,
oh, okay.
yeah, so they're the people that worked on Warcraft and Starcraft, and they're like, all right, we're gonna make RTS for the new generation, and they gave their announcement last week, and it will be okay. Nobody knows how it's gonna be, but if they succeed, it's gonna be another one of those, which is like, oh, okay, Blizzard really sucks now, and all the ex-Blizzard devs carried them or something. You're gonna see that flying around. So yet another negative piece of news for those guys. So yeah, you're right. It's a really tough landscape for them right now.
At least Hearthstone's still making money, I guess.
Yeah.
They Blizzard actually just released one part of this other side of things is Warcraft Arclight. If you've seen this, this is all the rage right now at my company where we're just really looking at
Oh,
how they're going to keep evolving this. But
yeah, I didn't
Arclight,
hear about this.
yeah, Arclight looks like a Clash Royale, more panning, no zoom, opener levels. Characters still run forward, but they're on lanes, and the lanes go in a direction, and there's some arrows on the ground that the player has some influence over. Take over towers. Once you take over the tower, you can spawn your units from there, keep pushing further down the map. But the biggest thing is that everything looks like a token, right? Like a game board token, something that you could put onto the board, and the way that they have used the word arclight makes it feel like this is some sort of technology that they are also trying to develop. If they annoyingly, there's no way that this is not true. I did read some article somewhere, some stupid thing that's probably completely untrue, that said that there are no plans for them to release figurines in the future. And I'm like, there's no way that you're not releasing figurines. If you aren't doing what did the Nintendo do?
Amiibos, amiibos.
Amiibos. If you're not doing those with these things, you're crazy. There's no way that there's not plans in the work to sell packets of these damn things and release an entire board game that's just based around these characters. But like, is Blizzard now just mobile with Hearthstone's success? What has the last two major releases from Blizzard been? An expansion, a new version of Classic that we're going to see too, right? We're going into Wrath of the Lich King, and then
Which is, by the way, I think that's so hilarious. It's just like going back.
we're doing it again. It's 20.
Listen.
It's
Oh,
2012 again. It's even earlier. It's only like
I guess I guess Resident Evil is doing that too because they're re-releasing all the RE remakes. But
it's everything, man. It's
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Jurassic Park is out, and it's all the handoff. We've had Leia die, rest in pepperonis. We've had Luke Skywalker die, rest in pepperonis. We've had, the Jurassic Park one. The original characters are all coming back into this movie. I don't know if they're in the other ones. I don't remember, but yeah, it's Matrix Reloaded. How many more? You know what I mean? Like, what do we do here, right? So I mean, I'm fine with that because I think that like Wrath of the Lich King was a really good experience. Cataclysm was a humongous experience, but when we start getting back into Kata and Panda, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
we've gone too far. Like this isn't, it's not classic anymore.
yeah,
We're in the teenage years again. So,
yeah.
um, let's just. I want to take a look at this comment really quickly. This is a post from 2 hours ago on the Reddit page. Let me see if I can get our chat without messing up too many things, right? And this goes as follows. So, the paradox with free to play and pay to win in general, and player Joe Average in particular. I want to actually go for this. What are you actually winning when you spend? Right?
Yeah,
What do you win? Because here's a big fucking thing in mobile that people don't want to go and admit. A lot of it is pay to progress.
yep.
I don't not a, you know, and this is the call has been like grandpas like me. It's like I don't have time, so I'm gonna drop $5 because guess what? I got it. You know what I mean. I work for a living. I'm not some 16-year-old who's coming out of high school and's got pocket change for milk money, right? Like
Yep.
we're good. So if I want to drop a few bucks and move forward a little bit, is that okay? But what am I actually winning? Is a big thing that I want to hear. And I don't want to hear it. It's in PvP. It's not. It's not in PvP. It's just you're just paying to move forward through the game a little bit faster. But if they are grinding you and putting you on that track, and you're not getting what you need, and you want to get what you need, then you're kind of falling into their trap in the first place. But first of all, I want to state that I do not like or support any pay to win mechanisms in any game. Okay, great. However, I'm always willing to penda few bucks here and there on cool looking skin. That mount or maybe some portal stones or whatnot. Money needs to be made. I understand that. However, what we get presented here is a game that's borderline disgusting. Everything yells at you to open your wallet. I really was wondering how Blizzard could have supported a game/pay design like this, well, possibly they decided that their reputation is down the drain anyway, and therefore there's nothing left to be ashamed of. Yet I see so many people running around with stuff that they invested their money, and so they support a design that should not be supported, but banned completely. And I am sure Blizzard's wallet is filling up quickly with this. I can't speak for anyone else but me, but I will not be spending $1 in this game or any other game like this. The next step is that you have to pay small fee every time you press a skill.
Typical It was a difficult post on the subreddit for sure. Very
Dis-
common sentiment.
disingenuous, realistic. Give me your thoughts. Genuinely,
Well,
give
when I
me your
read it,
thoughts about this, because this
yeah,
this is like the broken English and everything is like so fucking perfect for this. Because you're right. I think that this is the sentiment that I see overall, which is people calling for stuff to be outright banned, and that this is bad, and never thinking about what it actually means to even do that. And it's regurgitating this an ideology that I don't think is one gamers don't seem to want to support, or some section of the population don't want to support. I get it. I don't want to either. I don't think it's great. I'm not here to play devil's advocate or to say like this is a good or a bad thing, but at the same time I think that this argument is so facetious, and I'm seeing it constantly with no alternative, with no understanding or background
nuance.
in
Yeah,
nuance here.
need nuance.
So many people running around with stuff that they invested their money in. Like, Invest and Express is part of mobile games. I do buy a thing, it's a skin or a cosmetic or something, I want to show it off. It's not even just in mobile games, it's in everything. It's in just purchase psychology. I'm going to get this thing, this Gucci bag, and I'm going to walk it around, and I'm going to show it off, and I'm going to feel good about that, and that's part of why I bought the thing. I want to feel good about the thing I just bought. So what's bad about that? Is it bad that they just invested it and it's the fact of like, is this a jealousy thing of they have it and I don't have it? Or they bought it and I can't earn it?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of perception things going on here because, okay, first off, when I do see a post like this, I'm not sure if they've played the game or if they were just watching a streamer.
This is
Or
me, the 12 the 30
yeah,
minute gamer right here.
yeah, and it's well, here, I'll use kind of an analogy when I see these sort of posts as well. Because I'm sort of guessing these people aren't planning to be a PvPer. I'm not sure. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they are. But kind of an analogy is so for people that don't know, I was a very competitive fighting gamer, so I know all about tournament level stuff.
Yeah, don't
And
even try. Don't even try to fucking challenge this guy. He's gonna wreck you, and you won't
I've,
even
I've
know it.
I've got some skills. So this is kind of like when people complain about tier lists. When they're like, "Oh man, this guy is really bad on the tier list. I shouldn't pick him." The thing about tier lists is they usually only apply to maybe like the top 60. No, I'd say like the top 16 players in the world, because tiers generally don't matter for a lot of the population.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the ways this monetization also doesn't matter for a lot of people unless they genuinely want to be like one of the best on the tier list. So, or one of the best on the servers. So so when they see monetization, they will label it as pay to win very quickly, even if it doesn't really apply to them. But yes, you're right. It is genuine. Again, mostly pay to progress. But if you are competing in the PvP, if you're that very small percent, then yeah, the pay to win will affect you, and that's kind of how yeah, kind of how the power spread out.
Okay. I'm also now seeing. I'm looking down this list and I'm just like looking at all the other ones and it says
Yeah, yeah.
week 3 is disgusting. Why Blizzard? And it's the daily reward calendar. I think. I can It looks like the. This looks like a daily reward calendar. I'm confused.
Like they're complaining they have to log in every day
I
or
mean,
something.
yeah, it says like after 2 weeks of rewards for login, my expectations wasn't very high, but I thought it was maybe a bug or something. Please, Blizz, I know you're greedy and so, but isn't it possible to give a crumb of your profit back to your player base? Why not giving a day 7 safe an emblem to let the players get a chance of a free legendary gem? Why do you need to hit 200 hilt on day 7 again? Like,
Okay, I see.
do you know how that system works? Do you have to log in but also play the game, or are you literally just logging in, get your collect reward?
In the beginning, you only needed to at least kill one monster, so I'm not sure exactly what you need to do to get these login rewards.
Yeah, it confuses me. If you know what I mean, like daily reward calendars are a tertiary feature to try and
Yep.
keep engagement over days. These are not things that we necessarily want to put a serious amount of time into on launch. We need it for global, but it's not like the thing that's gonna hopefully drive the engagement that we want to see. We want to see the players play the game and enjoy the game, but I'm giving away free rewards, so like there
Yeah.
can only be so much that I can put in that track. So if you think about from an economy perspective, I'm an economy designer. I've got all of this income that I need to generate into the player's income per day, per week, per whatever to like get them through these gates. I can, you know what I mean? Maybe I silo only like 3% of all rewards like off into that track, right? Like I want the player to be playing the game and getting them there, but I want this to be just like a sprinkle of get you over the line and keep going. So like, are daily login rewards now pay to win? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm
No, it definitely sounds like they're yeah, trying to ask for more for doing the login. You know, this actually reminds me of Genshin. So Genshin had their 1 year anniversary maybe a few months ago, and they did not give out okay. They gave out some good stuff, but it wasn't up to par with other gacha games
Mhm.
that can be quite generous for the 1 year awards. So it's a bit similar to that, where the players are like, "Hey, I feel like, well, at least okay with Genshin, it's like I've been playing the game for a year. Can you throw me some more bones?" And which is more understandable than, "Hey, I've been playing Diablo Immortal for a couple weeks. Can you throw me more?" But yeah, they're asking for more rewards there.
Yeah, which is this not the sentiment across the board? I want more as a free user.
Yeah.
I should get. They get things. I should get things. You know what I mean? But so I see it from these two perspectives. Do I think that Blizzard has done a great job here in terms of making a good game? I think that they've made a decent attempt at a good game. I think that they've taken a formula that they've obviously honed over years. This is way more arcadey than even D3 was at the end of the whole cycle of greater rifts and just like run, loot, scoot, just get through as quickly as possible. Do I think that they've gone overhanded with how they've handled their monetization? Yeah, absolutely. I think that player perception is something that you should pay attention to, but should you feed into these groups of people to, you know, to basically try to suffice them, or but maybe yes, no, but they are vocal. And but is it having a real impact on their bottom line? Are they listening now? I would say no. I would say like that they're partially, but the reality is from the start is that this was going to be what it was going to be. It's going to be a mobile game that will not hold your hand while you're playing free to play and will throw soft caps at you, and you know every time that you are logging into their game, you're spending their money. And people also need to be cognizant of that. Servers are hella expensive. They're extremely expensive. Running full time servers with the amount of shards that they're doing is not cheap, and all usage and all like most calls are going to be different. Now, Blizzard's Blizzard. They've been doing this for years. They've got their own server farms. They can deal with this better than most companies do, because most companies would be like AWS, spin this up, um, have it scale and be really scalable, but I'm still paying a premium bottom line that I still need to get back out of my game to be able to recoup that investment. And I am concerned for the continuation of the franchise if they do really pull a lot some of these strings across into Diablo. But it always concerns me whenever they're going to mess with the drop table and the influence of the player being able to say a legendary is a legendary, a rare is a rare, and a common is a common. If I'm going up to a boss that I think could drop, like the whole point of these things is like they're loot pinatas. I had a whole discussion with a friend of mine back in the day where we would say like, is World of Warcraft bosses just gachapon boxes, but with more steps in between? Like I paid for my subscription, but now I need to level my character. Now I need to find a guild. Now I need to go raid. Now I need to successfully defeat that boss,
And you only
and
get a raid 4 times a month,
and you only
so
get a
you
raid.
are limited.
Yeah, so you are limited, and you only get certain item drops, and it's for the whole raid. It's not even for you. So am I? Like that's like a social loot box that that I paid for, but didn't get anything out of, or possibly didn't get anything out of.
Oh, I want to throw one quick layer onto that. So in WoW, if sometimes you could pay a very high level guild to run you through like the final dungeon, just to get access to the loot. So actually, that's like an in-game gotcha.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah,
Yep.
all the end game. If you can do it, there's some whale out there that's like, yo, can I just
Yeah.
Venmo you guys $100 and you just run me
Yeah.
through for the day? Give me all the loot. Like, I don't want to do shit. Just get me here. That is always fun. But so Diablo bosses, Diablo characters, all of these things just feel a lot like that, but quicker, right? Like I'm not capped. It's just there, and I have a chance to get this thing. And if I do have like gold find gear or something, maybe I have a more of a chance. I don't even know how much manipulation they're really doing in the background. But if you know what I mean, for me, knowing systems like this, I would not doubt that they are doing a ton of fudging in terms of when is your next legendary going to drop. They know exactly when that's going to be. They have a way to increase the drop chance of those things over time as you're killing other monsters, and you're probably building up a bar or something in the background to go get those things. And I think that that's just not in the spirit of the game. And I think that's the thing that gets me. Is like, yes, it's a Diablo game, but as soon as you mess with the formula of, am I, am I gonna get something cool out of this boss? Right? We always used to call the chance at something great, right? Every time I kill that character, I have the chance at getting something cool out of it. I have the chance at that thing. But if I actually feel like I don't have that chance, what is my incentive to play, and what is my player motivation to actually continue that grind? Is it just a complete min maxer's brain of I'll get it eventually, or do players, I mean, do general players even care about that? Hey, like in the background, there's soft caps. You can only get this many things a day. You know what I mean? It's basically just like once you do those, just stop playing. Um,
Yeah, I definitely think the general players don't necessarily think about it. But what you were saying about, okay, so with the monetization.
yeah, keep going. I'm gonna go get coffee. I
Yep,
can hear you.
absolutely. So let me think about this.
Yeah, take a second.
So with the monetization, if but what they pretty much just did was sort of take the Diablo core gameplay and then like tied, like you said, the most important part of it to the money. And that was probably the biggest mistake, because now you're just inviting constant, yeah, you're inviting constant comparisons to the old game. You can clearly see that even if there's obfuscation, that there's ties to your power.
Hmm.
So I think
Which
they,
is, I'll cut across you.
yeah,
That's most mobile games, is a power fantasy of increasing power. There's not that much else going on. But yeah, go on.
absolutely. The best thing they probably should have done is, I mean, they should have kind of like reworked the monetization from the ground up. It should have been something more, um I don't want to say clever, but something less obvious than just, hey, we already have a loot. We're like the original loot boxers. Let's now throw this to pay. So, a lot of the people, especially the public's opinion is, oh, they should have just done cosmetics. Oh, it should have been a game that we paid on mobile. And I think both of those would have tanked their revenue quite a bit. Um, but the free to play monetization wasn't. I don't think it was completely a dead end. They just had to do something other, frankly, other than what they did.
Do you think if they had actually telegraphed these soft caps to and really called it, you're a free to play player and you're not in the battle pass, and if you're not in the battle pass, you have caps per day, and they are telegraphed to you. You can get a max of one legendary per day. You can run a max of 50 rifts a day. You can blah 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 kill this many things. After that, you can keep playing. You can keep questing. You can do all that stuff. And maybe we'll even go and bank that loot into some chest that then you can access over time. Over, like that every couple of days will unlock another couple of slots or something to that effect, right? That's cheeky as shit as well. But calling it out that, like, hey, it comes from a premium game family, and we are going to influence your ability to move forward here, if because we kind of need uh to support ourselves, support the game, try to push people into some sort of paid track. The premium games were $60 at the start. That battle pass starting out at like $5, and then over time you're like, okay, well, I'm up to $60 and I've enjoyed myself and I've gotten my money's worth. Like, it, was it too mobilified? Like, do you think that would have helped in this case, in terms of telegraphing to and really telling to these hardcore gamers that, like, because the caps exist for everybody, don't they? Even if you do spend, those caps don't seem to go away. Like,
I think
nobody's
so, yeah.
found that, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, what you just said is kind of like a authenticity play, to be very transparent and try to connect with the players and be like, hey, we're kind of in this together. If we're trying to give you a free game, if you guys can support us, we can make a better game, sort of play. But if I'm playing this out in my head, I can't see that stopping any of the noise online. I can't see that at all. Even though that's kind of a really genuine way of being transparent.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to say what would have quelched any of this, but at the same time, I do believe that the most majority of players don't care,
I agree.
are
Definitely.
not listening to this, and and just want to play and play the game and just try to play a new Diablo game and enjoy it for the most part. I think the power curve is fine. Like, I don't know, up to where I was. Like, obviously, again, I'm still like way in the early game, but I didn't have gear on for like ages.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel like I needed it within those early levels. Obviously, you probably don't, because they don't want the player to be dying in those early stages. So I think I'm gonna keep doing that until I really feel the power ramp, and then put my gear back on. So just use the starter stuff and just see how far I can go.
Yeah.
Because if I want to see what flat power is, and flat power over time, because
Sure.
there's two different sides to combat sides too. It's survivability, but also damage. And if the enemies are hitting me and I can still survive, but I'm doing little bits of damage, I'm inefficient within my time span, but I'm still, the power band is not getting me, right? It's HP band. It's not like the things are trying to kill me and I really need the gear. It's like I can sit there and I can grind, but it's going to take me 5 minutes to kill this boss versus 3 minutes when I have my gear on or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see like how much that really affects me over time. But
So I agree, and I actually have a really big question about this, which I have not seen an answer for, because one of the problems is there's, like, there's just too much noise that is not, that is just like backlash on this
mhm.
game. But the question I have, so the game is gonna slow down. The question is this Diablo Immortal progression wall, or is this just a normal Diablo wall? Because if you're playing D3, I don't know, when you're around level 50, you're gonna hit a pretty big wall, and I don't know if the curve is exactly like Diablo Immortal, or if it's different,
Yeah,
or if
like
there's a genuine paywall there.
yeah, like I don't know. I mean, how far they've gone into the content scheme of things, but like what do you do at the end game? You're just grinding for like one gear set or like two gear sets or something like that, right? So they've probably benchmarked that their stuff gives them like a couple of months of content, like 6 months of content. But I think the reality is that some players are definitely just like no lifing it and just getting
Oh yeah.
those things in a couple of days. And I don't know, like these games are supposed to be strung out over periods of time. Is it okay for them then to be getting that gear within a week, and then those players complaining that they're like, it sucked to get here? It's like, yeah, it probably did suck because you didn't do anything for an entire week,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like,
is that any different than D3 was? Because I don't think that had any great end game content
not at
on
launch.
launch anyway.
Like we had Diablo, right? Like we had like the main boss, and we went through the story campaign,
Yeah,
and we finished it up. But yeah, like then we got Torment levels, then we got
exactly.
Paragon levels, and then we got, it was all about just like, how the fuck do I just increase anything? Like, and Paragon levels were exactly that. It was just, here's another slider, here's another level batch that goes into the Torment stuff. And that's really where the game became the game then after a while, right? Too.
Yeah,
It's like I'm just here for the loot. Should players be here for the story in Diablo?
I've heard Diablo Immortal has a really good story, but I am one of the guys that skips almost every story unless they catch me right away. Like I thought Genshin was a short enough story that I could be invested in it. So I'm a low investor in stories, but I've heard this one's good.
Nice. Yeah, like I don't know how to feel about it overall. I think I want to recap my thoughts. Is like I don't think the free to play mechanics are immoral. I think that's a ridiculous argument. I think that putting out a game for free that people can download, enjoy, play to the extent that they can play within Diablo. You can go through the whole game. You can get to the very end game. Yeah, sure, you might not get the perfect shinies at all times, but you're still gonna get there if you want to. You'll make it. I don't think that I mean, it's still a fully playable game, all for free, and you can just keep going. That's pretty good. Um, I think that what's there in terms of gates and stuff is needed, but I think that was not thought of as how these players were going to play the game and how quickly that they were going to try to really churn through. And I think that flies in the face of the game and the game genre itself and should have been thought about completely differently. Um,
Yeah,
Making this a real Diablo game, not fudging with the feeling, don't fudge with the rules, don't fudge with, like, just give me the straight tables and tell me it's this. Tell me it's 2%. Tell me it's 0.1. I don't need anything more than that. I'll go for that thing if that's the case, but I need to believe that it's true. And that's a bigger problem. You can't break the trust of the player on that side when you're saying, I'm going to drop you this, it's going to happen, it's going to be it is there. I need to know it's somewhere there in that goblin's pockets, right? Because if you tell me it's there, but it's you know what I mean, but really in the background I
yeah,
feel like it's not there, I'm going to trust my own gut feeling on that at the same time. I don't believe that the outrage that I'm seeing is warranted or really justified in a lot of ways. I do think that free to play monetization is bad, but or bad. It's not great within this game. It's obviously we've talked about it, it's little too on the nose, and a little too objectified. But you are buying gems and not necessarily the gear. But everybody knows in Diablo, like gems is really the end game way to get power, right? Like when you're getting those 110 gems, plus int strength, blah blah blah. Like these things are really really important for like being able to push into the almighty end game, the power fantasy of really being a god and being untouchable. But I do think that this game is going to continue, and I do think that they're going to silently in the background. This will be a bubble and a wave, and we won't see anything for a while, and we won't hear anything for a while. The people who hate all of these things will all go away, and the game will just continue to live with a nice, static, healthy DAO that, hopefully injects some more life back into Blizzard over time. But
And it helps that D4 is coming out, which will quell whatever other noise, or they'll just flock
or
over to D4.
amplify. Yeah, they'll be like, "What the fuck, dude?" Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, what are your predictions for raid for for Diablo 4?
Man, I'm
It's
just
just
gonna
gonna
say
be
it's
that bad.
max. I mean, they haven't had a lot of great press.
Yeah.
But what you said, you're talking about yeah. So for me, kind of my summation of thoughts. So I think beyond anything for a developer, this is a really great case study of how your game and system design can affect your perception, and then
How much you should even care about it?
yeah, yeah. Now I do think a lot of the players, yeah, like you said, a lot of the free to play players are like, hey, this is a free Diablo, I'm just gonna hop in it, and it's really easy to find a party in this game. But people, yeah, it's, I don't know, like I've let me
No, it's
I mean, you,
hard. Keep going. Get it out, or take your time. But I feel you. It's hard because I don't think that they, monetization was key over everything else. Pretty clear there. It was,
oh yeah,
that's
that
mobile
that's what I want to
101.
say is this kind of project, you kind of know this is how bigger companies work, which is, hey, we got a lot of assets. What is kind of a cheap pitch? Like somebody will pitch, hey, you know what? I can get you guys like a few dozen $1 million just with this low effort. I don't want to call the game low effort, but it's certainly like
Low
reusing a lot
hanging
of
fruit. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. This is a more low hanging fruit project. And as a result of the low hanging fruit, they kind of had a monetization scheme that is, up for a lot of contention. So
What do you do when you see games like Archero be you, but on mobile, and beating your revenue numbers for some of your major titles,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
What do you do? You're there, you're an exec. I'm beholden to my shareholders. I'm beholden to a different board from a different company. We've had a bad couple of years. I need to show some internal wins that are not necessarily like focused around the overall health of the company, its current culture, and everything else that's
exactly.
going on over there. That's an entire different conversation. But what do? You make the game and you say, I don't really care. Make it, and the players who will find it will enjoy it. And the
Yeah,
players that 10% of players that really vehemently hate it will burn out pretty quick and leave and not come back. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're bottom. I think that they're screaming all the way to the bank. They don't think that they care at all, and I think that that's totally reasonable for them to not kind of give a shit. Now,
yeah.
there's also these weird streamers. Like the one dude had I saw yesterday. He'd spent $16,500 in the game at that point, and he had a counter on his screen of how much money he was spending.
Yeah,
Is that your problem? Like you can't complain about a problem and add to the problem. Like in my opinion, if you're gonna go and sit there and be like, "Oh my God, look at this! Look at how bad this is! This is ridiculous!" and then they just spend all of this money to go through all of these things, and obviously it's e-rage. They're trying to piss off then the other people. That the higher that number goes, the more views they get because
They get a
it's like,
lot of press too.
"Oh my God, he's yeah, exactly." But that leads into this false presentation of the product itself overall. And
Yeah.
people need to stop thinking about games as games when it comes down to mobile, too. They're not necessarily games, they are products. Products. Real products. I'm selling you a free thing, and I'm buying your time. And you are going to give me. You want your time back, but you want to keep enjoying the entertainment, so you're going to buy some time off of me. That is the exchange in mobile. I want to play this thing for free. I want to enjoy this thing. I want to take it for all it's worth and get as much out of it. I don't necessarily want to spend. I, as a developer, want you to play. I want you to enjoy the game, but I need to make some buck at the same time. We have an entire company, 1,000 people. Everyone has 401ks, health insurance. Engineering salaries are ridiculously expensive. Have you ever tried to hire these people? They're worthless.
And I wouldn't just say it's mobile. It's free to play
Free
actually,
to play.
and,
Yeah.
and I say that specifically because there are a lot more free to play PC games on the horizon, including that
The
big
fighting
new.
games that we've been talking
Yeah,
about.
Project L, the new RTS that's coming out, and Overwatch 2 is going free to play. You're gonna see a lot more free to play from these larger companies because they can soak in a huge amount of audience.
Yep. Apex Legends is now on mobile. Expect Valorant to go to mobile. Like these things are going to happen, guys. Like you will see more of a crossover of if the industry call right now is if you're not on mobile and on some other platform, you are losing revenue. You are just
Yeah.
bottom end losing tail, and that's not good. Especially in this climate of continuous increased profit margins. My game success is benchmarked off of how much money I make off of it, not necessarily how fun the players are really realistically happening. We're not making art over here. This is why I say like this whole podcast is specifically about this, right? It's the commercial side meeting the independent gamers who the independent developers and gamers who want to make something for the sake of really making something and making the best experience possible and putting it in your face and being like, hey, maybe I'll put this out for on itch for nothing, or can you please pay me $5, or hey, this game is $20. I put a lot of effort into this. Please, I mean, rebill me, right? That's a fucking scary time too, guys. Do you know how hard that is? And how hard it is then to get somebody to justify a $20 purchase when you're nobody?
Yep.
Like, don't demonize free to play just because you think that this is pay to win. I see no win here. I think if you pay money on Diablo Immortal, you're almost ruining the experience for yourself. The grind is the game. So, driving yourself into the ground to get that next legendary, that used to be the goal when you were playing D3. It was like, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna go until I get this next thing, and that's what But I at least know that it's on the horizon. In the Immortals, I would say it's not that much, and these soft caps are killing me on that side, and that's what I would say is telegraph this to me, tell me this, but don't ruin the combat formula. Don't ruin the mystery of what's inside this loot pinata. And I think that's the one thing I will say is that they have mucked up completely. But
Yep.
yeah, this idea of that free to play is like a bad thing. I mean, yeah, sure, there's loads of dark patterns everywhere, but I don't think that it's the way that the vocal whatever want to go and mark it out as. I will say this though, Game Refinery is doing a deep dive into Diablo Immortal June 28th at 1 p.m. CET and 10 a.m. PT. This is only like a 15-minute deep dive from them, but if you're in the industry, Game Refinery is one of the top. We looked at this the other week. You can go in. They have a whole free portal for looking at metrics and stuff like that too. But these guys are going to write in a really good breakdown and show you some good stuff that, if you don't want to play the game and you don't want to go and grind away and have to deal with any of this, might be worth just jumping in as a developer just to kind of see what's up. But there will be a lot of articles written about this. This is making big headlines, big news. And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
I want to say one thing about the importance of this. This isn't just going to be free to play. So this is related to, let's say you're an indie developer and you put out a game and you've been working on it for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man, I spent a lot of time on this game. I'm going to put it for $25. And then suddenly you get all these Steam reviews that say, I only got like a few hours out of this game. I paid $25. But this game, I only paid $5 for it. I got 600 hours of it. Downvote. This is very similar. This is a very similar subject. So this, I think, again, a good case study for everyone, whether you're free to play or pay.
Yeah. I'm going to tack on to that while I'm here, because you're totally right. There's also a side of this, that comment that we saw of like, this should be banned. All of this should be banned,
Yeah.
right? What do I do as an independent who has no money to market their game? I need to put it out at $20, or else I'm not going to get any ROI. Like I have spent all my time and lost everything, right? Like I poured my heart and soul into this. Now, if I can't get an audience, right? Here's the other thing. If I can't get an audience, like we've talked about before, if you can't build community, it's very difficult to scale. If you put out your game and there are no eyeballs to look at your game, you'll get lost in the pack, and you will be like the most games on Steam that make less than $5,000. So now you've spent all of this time putting this effort into this thing that you really love, all this passion. If you could have just put that out as a free-to-play product and got people in, and you don't need to necessarily change core mechanics and drop rates and blah, 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 just sprinkle in a little bit of this over here and there, but you get higher DAO, you get more eyeballs on, more people playing, it's easier for you to market, the barrier to entry is non-existent, which gets you more notoriety, and you can then take those numbers then to larger publishers, say like, hey, look at this, I'm doing these revenue numbers off of this small an audience, here's the audience reception to the game so far, help me scale. Like, another company can come in and help you to do that then at that point too. And that's great for the individual. Because if you can show numbers on paper that, like, people are willing to play this game, they are enjoying the game so far, and they are lightly spending on it, another company can go and say, great, awesome, let's give this person $2 million, their CPI is this, their LTV is that, well, that means then our profit per user is going to be somewhere in the margin of the the delta between those two. And I can see profitability. So like let's spend money on marketing and scale. Squid Game had the K factor. 50 people could everybody could download this game for free. They could jump in, a streamer could just put up their room code, everybody could jump in and join and have a great time together. And you see DAO go up, you see enjoyment of the game go through the roof. That person gets a big name for themselves. They're able to make some money on the side by, if they wanted to, they could always sell, any sort of cosmetics, whatever they wanted within that, and people would still buy them. So what do you do when we say, I'm going to ban this and I'm not going to give any alternative? Like, are we going just, like, that's it? It's just premium now? Is subscriptions okay? Would that game as a subscription been fine for these people if that's the case? I want to know that. I want to ask that question. So, yeah, I'm peeved, but I'm happy the game is out. It seems to be like a good game, like a fun enough game. I'm mad that they mess with the combat formula, but it is what it is, I guess. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But Calvin, I need to go. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yep. Good chat.
Thank you, dude.